What's up guys, Moniz here, and it's almost the end of 2018. Before it ends, I got one more review for you, and this is the ASUS UX430 UA Signature Edition Zenbook. This bad boy retails for $1,000, undercutting some of the more expensive Ultrabooks on the market. But is it worth it? Let's find out. Design is typical ASUS, an all-metal Ultrabook with a concentration ring surrounding the lid of this laptop. There is a quartz gray color and a rose gold color, which looks like this, which is not as bad with fingerprints, but if you do go for the royal blue or of course rose gold, it's using a different type of technology. It's using nano imprint lithography. So basically what you're gonna get is a much glossier surface, which in the end means more fingerprints. In terms of weight, it's super light, so perfect for traveling on a plane or bringing this to a coffee shop to get work done. For ports, on the left-hand side, you have your power connector, a USB 3.0 port, a mini HDMI, which I wish was full size, an audio jack, and a USB Type-C port that's not Thunderbolt 3, so you can't hook up an external GPU. On the right-hand side, you have another USB 3.0 port and a full-size SD card slot. Inside, everything is pretty much soldered onto the motherboard, so RAM, CPU, and GPU are not replaceable, but you can swap out the M2 SSD. Now, this is a regular SSD, it's not NVMe, so you can expect read and write speeds of 500 megabytes a second. So I just noticed I forgot to turn on the light, so 1 second. Okay, that's better. So for the display, it's very simple. This is a 14-inch display in a 13-inch form factor. It's IPS, it's full HD, and it's matte, which means you're not gonna get awful reflections if you're in the sun or if you have light hitting your display. Now there are some bezels and they are plastic, which is pretty much the only plastic you're gonna see in this laptop, but the colors are good. Everything looks very vibrant. The only thing I didn't like was the brightness. It doesn't get as bright as like the Dell XPS 13 or even the Yoga 920. It was around 280 to 290 nits of brightness. Color accuracy is not too bad. It's around 92% sRGB and around 71% Adobe RGB. So good enough for some light Photoshop work, but if you're a creative professional who needs to have 100% accuracy, you might want to choose something with a different display. So this is what the 720p HD camera looks like. It looks like every other single webcam on the market. Sound is coming out of two speakers underneath the Zenbook. Now, they're not the best placement, but I did find the volume to be nice and high. There was no distortion. I was listening to songs on Spotify, and I had to admit, these things were very crisp. Now, it is a little bit tinny, but they are good speakers overall, and they do get loud enough for an Ultrabook. The keyboard on the Zenbook is definitely not my favorite. It's not terrible, it's just okay. The thing is, when you first press the keys, it feels a bit stiff when you first touch it. Then when it bottoms out, it feels a bit too mushy. I don't like the placement of the arrow keys. They're very small compared to the rest of the keys on this keyboard, but there is 3 levels of backlighting, which is nice compared to other Ultrabooks that only have 1. On the bottom, you have a good sized touchpad, which is using Windows Precision drivers, so you get that gesture support. Accuracy is pretty good and scrolling is not too bad. It's definitely not the best. I still think the XPS 13 has a better touchpad, but overall it's good. Performance on the Zenbook is fantastic. In fact, it's in line with the competition. It's using the latest 8th gen processors, which is the Kaby Lake R refresh processor. So instead of having 2 cores like you would on previous Ultrabooks, you now get 4, which means in certain situations that can take advantage of them, you're gonna get better performance. So everyday tasks like browsing the web or playing video games, you're not gonna notice that much of an advantage. But if you're transcoding video, using Photoshop, or using any application that prefers to have more cores, this thing is gonna be about 40 to 50% faster than last year's model. In fact, you can even do some light gaming on it, CSGO, League of Legends, and of course Overwatch if you lower the settings down to 1368 by 720 with the settings set to low. When it comes to heat management, the Zenbook does a fantastic job. Surface temperatures were fantastic. My fingers never got too hot to the touch, even at the top of the keyboard, which is where the CPU is. In terms of the CPU itself, 60 to 65 degrees under full load, which is great. I had this thing going for an hour doing intensive things. Never did I have a problem with the CPU throttling or getting very high temperatures. Sound on this thing, under full load, the fans do kick on. You can hear them, but they're not that loud. Gets around 40 to 43 decibels, which is equivalent to a quiet library. Battery life is pretty good on the Zenbook. It's not great when you compare it to some of the competition. I was getting about 9 hours of use before needing to charge. That consisted of browsing the web, watching movies, and doing basic productivity tasks. If you need a little bit more, 10 to 12, then you're better off with the Dell XPS 13 or even the Yoga 920. Their battery life is a little bit better. So here are my closing thoughts. The ASUS Zenbook UX430 UA Signature Edition is a good Ultrabook. Everything is good enough. So good display, you have good battery life, a decent keyboard, and a good touchpad. It's unfortunate it doesn't come with a Thunderbolt 3 port, and of course a full-size HDMI port. But this thing costs $1,000. If you want something from Dell, like the Dell XPS 13, or even from HP, that's similarly spec'd to this, you have to spend $200 to $300 more. Is that slightly brighter display or slightly better battery life worth $300 more? Well, that depends on your needs. I think for $1,000 you're getting great value, and that's what ASUS does. Offers great value in a package that's good enough. So what do you guys think of the ASUS Zenbook? Let me know in the comments below. Also, Happy New Year to you guys. I got tons of great content coming out in 2018, some big changes. I can't wait to share it with all of you. And as always, thank you for giving me all the love and support. You guys are amazing. And I'll see you guys in the next video.